FNAF Help 1 and 2 just got some massive updates with official gameplay being released, a brand new release date being confirmed, a recap of the entire Pax West event from the other day, and so much more. Like the video if you end up enjoying, but let's get right into it. So if you didn't know, just a couple of days ago, Steelwool Studios put up their booth for the Pax West event, a convention designed to show off upcoming games and stuff in that vein. It's pretty standard. Specifically for Steelwool Studios, their booth contains some pretty familiar stuff like a real-life Glamrock Freddy and regular Freddy suit animatronic, which both look phenomenal, along with a display showing off some items and objects from the recently released Ruin DLC, which also all look great. But most importantly, all over the place, they had a ton of branding advertising both the FNAF movie, which as far as I know doesn't have an appearance in the actual booth, and more relevantly, FNAF Help 1 and 2, Steelwool's next upcoming game. Of course, being a sequel to FNAF Help 1, it's set to release sometime late 2023, as we will talk about later. And looking at the booth, it honestly looks extremely good. They had full-blown models of Circus Baby's head and the FNAF camera system, along with the coolest IRL FNAF thing I have ever seen, being a Sun and Moon or Eclipse animatronic that crawled up through a vent and actually moved and made sound, which honestly just looks incredible. I'm actually in love with this design. I wish I would have came to actually see it. And in fact, if you look up, there's just some random chopped off hand hanging over the top, which is creepy, but definitely pretty cool. However, props and all that aside, this was all meant and designed to showcase and advertise our very first look at the long-awaited Help 1 and 2, and we kind of got an answer. As if you didn't know, for the demo, they actually completely banned people from recording or streaming or getting any kind of footage of the actual gameplay for one reason or another. And while there have been some photos surfacing online of some gameplay, which I might not be able to show you here, there isn't much more to show physically. However, thanks to a ton of people's descriptions of the gameplay, we were able to find out that the Help 1 and 2 demo had 3 separate minigames to pick from, being Bonkaban, Breaker Room, and the Carousel. And starting with the first game mode, Bonkaban, according to a description from Johnny Blocks, the game features the characters Bonbon, Bonnie, Helpy, and even the plush babies, taking influence from, of course, the game Whack-A-Mole. The characters will supposedly emerge from small holes, and the player must whack them as you expect, and failing to do so in time will result in a jump scare. So quite simply, this first minigame is by far the most basic, where you're literally just supposed to hit characters with a mallet. It sounds super simple, and along with the description, in the original trailer, there was even a poster showing some art of the game saying "Let's Play," giving us a mini pointer as to what the gameplay is going to look like. And while once again there's no actual gameplay shown, some people have posted videos of themselves playing the game, showing basically exactly what you'd expect in terms of gameplay, including them getting jump scared. But the second game is called Breaker Room, which is, as of right now, our only look into the sister location theming of Help Wanted, as it's based on the Breaker Room in that game respectively, with the listed description claiming it as similar to the sister location version, where Funtime Freddy actively comes towards you. This time you're armed with a megaphone and must shoot him if he gets too close, fixing a series of puzzles while Funtime Freddy moves towards you as the main threat. So this one is a bit more straightforward, and like we expected, it seems to be one of what I can only presume to be many minigames ported from sister location. And after hearing this information, it makes me begin to hope and wonder what other types of game modes there are going to be from sister location, since based on the one teaser we got, that seemed to be the main plot and purpose of Help 1 and 2 when it was first announced. However, by far the most interesting Help 1 and game mode is the last one, called the Carousel, which this time is actually a game mode based on Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, with it being described as taking influence from the vent repair and parts and service minigames from the first Help Wanted, featuring fixing damaged dials, fuses, and circuit boards with rhythm-based puzzles. Every time a part of the carousel is fixed, one of 3 sections begins to spin, and eventually the moon will emerge, making his way towards you on the cart. You have to then defend yourself against the moon using your flashlight for 1 minute. They also pointed out that while Moon is the main antagonist of this minigame, the Eclipse version is seen on the level selection icon apparently, seemingly suggesting that once the full game comes out, like in the original Help Wanted, there could be a hard mode featuring the character Eclipse. And on the same note, the animatronic literally outside of the booth was also Eclipse, despite no appearance from them in the demo, so it seems relatively obvious they're gonna make an appearance. So overall, in terms of what people were actually able to play, those were the 3 new minigames that were specifically given to us, and to be honest, while I think ones like the Carousel game mode sound incredibly creative and insane, the glorified Whack-A-Mole game just sounds a little bit generic. I mean, I'm sure playing Whack-A-Mole with the risk of getting jump scared in VR will still be pretty fun, but at least as a concept, it kind of lacks the creativity the other 2 had, in my personal opinion. However, gameplay aside, another big question people have been wondering is the game was originally announced for the PlayStation VR 2, and while some people were wondering if it was going to release on there exclusively like what happened with Security Breach, it was actually recently confirmed that it is not going to be exclusive to the PSVR 2 and it's going to release onto other VR consoles as well, which is great news I think for most people because most only have like an Oculus Quest. But speaking about this event as a whole, what's extremely interesting is that if you look around the PAX booth, you'll notice things like this poster referencing the Fall Fest, which makes sense with the theming of the booth and the timing of it happening in September. However, what makes it somewhat interesting is that people also pointed out that if you look very closely again at the desk area with Circus Baby's head, behind her is actually a clock that reads the time 9:23, which while on the surface is an extremely minor detail, if you read the time as a date, it instead gives you the day September 23rd of this year, possibly suggesting and being a tease that something could be releasing around that time, whether it be a trailer or another tease or something in that vein. But what connects this all and makes it super notable is that this year fall actually starts on the exact same day, September 23rd, meaning that whatever this time slash date is teasing, it will be on the very first day of fall, which has led a lot of people, myself included, to wonder if maybe these dates could be intentional and the Fall Fest poster could be foreshadowing something happening on that date. More specifically, I've actually seen some people make theories and predictions suggesting similar to when FNAF Security Breach first released, maybe when September 23rd comes around and fall actually starts, there could be some new Freddy and Friends shorts releasing bi-weekly, this time teasing Help Wanted 2 before at the end of it releasing a full gameplay trailer. And while on the surface this sounds kind of like a stretch, it actually makes a lot of sense, because the poster itself is of course in the Freddy and Friends style that we saw during the rollout of Security Breach, and also it just seems like way too much of a coincidence that they would tease the date September 23rd, which happens to be the same day that fall starts, while also having Fall Fest posters around the booth. Not to mention, if the game's release date isn't for another few months, which we talk about in a second, it wouldn't make sense for a trailer or something to release in September for a game not coming out until the very end of the year. So having some sort of teaser series or something to fill up time like what Seawolf has done with other games would be really nice, especially since for a reason that we will never know, we missed out on it with the Ruined DLC. However, the biggest question that I think people are wondering is when exactly is Help Wanted 2 going to release? Because as of right now, the only thing they've confirmed to us about it is that it will release at the back half of the year, so where is it? Well, earlier at the PAX event, it was actually reported that an employee had confirmed that the brand new game was slated to release at some point in December. So literally at the very end of the year, presumably in early December, because otherwise people would be busy with Christmas and stuff. So if I had to guess, probably in the first couple weeks of the month, and it would make perfect sense since Christmas is most likely when people are going to be getting new VR headsets. And while I'm only getting this news from reliable FNAF News Twitter accounts who didn't actually go to the event, I've also seen independent people who were actually at PAX themselves who also confirmed that employees are giving release estimates of December of this year. So while it's not 100% confirmed, it seems more than likely that this is the case, which to be honest is maybe a little bit later than we were hoping for, but I will more than take it. In the meantime, next month the FNAF movie releases, and we got a massive update on that, which I talk all about in this video here. Subscribe if you enjoyed, and peace out, guys.